There are moments in life when heaven interrupts your routine to place a burden on your heart that you cannot explain. You try to ignore it. You try to move on. But deep inside, something keeps whispering, pay attention. This is not a coincidence. Chosen one, this message is one of those moments. God is not just calling you to listen today. He is calling you to respond. Somewhere right now, there is a woman carrying silent pain behind a hidden smile. She has cried in private, fought battles nobody applauded, and prayed prayers that seem unanswered. And what if I told you that God may have positioned you to become part of the answer she has been waiting for? You must understand this. Purpose is never just about personal success. True greatness is discovered when heaven can trust you with somebody else's pain. Some people are so distracted chasing money, status, and applause that they no longer recognize divine assignment standing right in front of them. But the chosen are different. The chosen can feel when God is speaking through compassion. They can sense when heaven is pushing them towards someone who desperately needs encouragement, wisdom, protection, or love. This is why you clicked on this video, not by accident, not by algorithms, but because God is awakening something inside you. Before this message ends, you may recognize the woman God has placed in your path. And once you do, your obedience could change both her life and yours forever. Chosen one of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that God only calls people to preach behind pulpits, build massive platforms, or become famous in front of crowds. But heaven does not measure greatness the way the world measures greatness. God often assigns ordinary people to carry extraordinary responsibility into the lives of broken individuals. Sometimes your greatest assignment is not a stage, it is a person. Sometimes your purpose is hidden inside somebody else's pain. There are moments when God places someone in your path intentionally, and this woman is not appearing in your life by chance. There is a divine reason connected to this encounter. You may have noticed her struggle, her silence, her emotional exhaustion, or the heaviness she tries to hide behind strong words and fake smiles. Most people walk past wounded souls because they are too consumed with themselves. But chosen ones are different. God opens their eyes to see what others ignore. You must understand that compassion is a language of heaven. When God wants to touch somebody on earth, He often works through another human being. That means your encouragement, your wisdom, your presence, and even your willingness to listen can become instruments in the hands of God. Never underestimate what a simple act of obedience can do in someone's life. One conversation can stop somebody from giving up. One prayer can restore hope. One act of kindness can remind a hurting soul that God has not abandoned them. The reason why people miss divine assignments is because they are waiting for dramatic signs while ignoring quiet instructions. God does not always speak through thunder. Sometimes He speaks through a burden in your spirit. Sometimes He places somebody heavily on your mind. Sometimes you feel an unexplainable urge to reach out, to check on someone, or to help when there seems to be no logical reason. That is not weakness. That is spiritual sensitivity. The chosen are led differently because they are listening differently. This woman may be carrying wounds nobody sees. People often applaud strength without realizing how much pain it takes to keep pretending everything is fine. Some women have spent years surviving betrayal, abandonment, rejection, disappointment, and emotional battles that drained their confidence. They learned how to smile while silently breaking inside. And while others judged them, heaven watched every tear. God never ignores hidden pain. But here is the powerful part. God may use you as a bridge between her suffering and her healing. Not because you are perfect, but because you are available. Availability is powerful in the kingdom of God. Many people have talent but no compassion. Many have knowledge but no love. Many speak about faith but disappear when somebody truly needs help. Yet heaven is searching for people who can be trusted with human hearts. Chosen one, this assignment is bigger than emotions. This is about purpose. Every person God sends into your life carries either a lesson, a blessing, or an assignment connected to your destiny. Some encounters are temporary, but some are divine appointments designed by heaven long before you were born. The problem is that many people are too distracted to recognize sacred moments when they arrive. Do not ignore what God is trying to show you. If heaven keeps placing this woman on your heart, pay attention. If you feel called to encourage, protect, uplift, or guide her, do not silence that conviction. Fee. Awe has caused many people to walk away from assignments that could have transformed lives forever. They worried about rejection. They worried about what people would think. They doubted themselves until the moment passed. But chosen ones cannot afford to live disconnected from obedience. Your obedience may become the answer to somebody's prayer. Imagine standing before God one day and realizing that the person you ignored was somebody heaven specifically trusted you to help. That is why discernment matters. That is why sensitivity matters. You are not called to save everyone, but you are called to obey when God speaks. And perhaps the deeper reason God is asking you to help her is because He knows your own struggles have prepared you for this moment. Pain often creates compassion. The battles you survived gave you wisdom that cannot be learned from books. The loneliness you experienced taught you how to recognize hidden suffering in others. Your testimony was never only for you. Ives God allows you to walk through darkness so you can later become light for somebody else. Chosen one, this is not random. Heaven trusts you with this assignment for a reason. The question is not whether God is speaking. The real question is whether you are willing to answer the call. Chosen one, there are people walking through life carrying invisible wounds that nobody around them can see. They laugh in public but cry in private. They speak strength over others while secretly battling exhaustion within themselves. And this woman God is placing on your heart may be one of those people. She does not need more judgment. She does not need another person pretending to care for a moment and disappearing when things become difficult. What she needs is genuine help rooted in compassion, wisdom, and spiritual understanding. The world has become skilled at noticing appearances while ignoring souls. People admire beauty but overlook brokenness. They celebrate success but never ask how much. See how much pain it took to survive the journey. Many women today are carrying emotional scars from betrayal, abandonment, manipulation, rejection, and disappointment. Some trusted the wrong people. Some gave love to those who abused it. Some sacrificed everything for others and received nothing in return except silence and heartbreak. Yet despite all of that, they still wake up every morning trying to keep moving forward. This is why heaven is looking for chosen people who can recognize hidden pain. Broken hearts often speak in silence. Sometimes the strongest cry for help is not spoken out loud. It is hidden in tired eyes, distant behavior, sudden withdrawal, or quiet loneliness. Most people ignore these signs because they are too distracted by their own lives, but chosen ones are spiritually alert. They notice what others miss because God allows them to feel what others cannot feel. You must understand something powerful. Empathy is not weakness. Compassion is not weakness. And of God, compassion is evidence of spiritual maturity. Anybody can criticize wounded people. Anybody can walk away when things become uncomfortable. But it takes spiritual depth to stand beside someone who is struggling and remind them they still have value. Some people only love others when they are useful, attractive, successful, or emotionally easy to deal with. But divine love works differently. Divine love sees worth even inside brokenness. This woman may have reached a point where she no longer believes anyone truly cares. Pain has a way of convincing people they are alone. After enough disappointment, many people build emotional walls around themselves because they are tired of being hurt. They stop trusting. They stop opening up. They stop expecting kindness because life has taught them to prepare for betrayal instead. And yet God may be sending you into her life to restore something she almost lost completely: hope. Never underestimate the power of simply being present for us. Own body, you do not always need perfect words. Sometimes healing begins when a person realizes they no longer have to suffer alone. Sometimes one sincere conversation can stop somebody from falling deeper into darkness. One reminder that they are loved can pull them back from hopelessness. One act of kindness can become proof that God still sees them. The enemy wants broken people to remain isolated because isolation increases suffering. When people feel abandoned, their thoughts become dangerous. Fear grows louder. Doubt grows stronger. Pain becomes heavier. That is why God often uses relationships to bring healing. He sends encouragers into the lives of discouraged people. He sends light into dark places. And he sends chosen individuals into situations where compassion is desperately needed. But helping somebody does not only mean giving material things. Some people need emotional support more than money. Some need guidance more than gifts. Some need somebody who will pray for them when they no longer have strength to pray for themselves. Spiritual support can become life-changing when somebody feels spiritually exhausted. Never forget that words carry power. The right words at the right moment can restore courage inside a broken soul. Chosen one, you were not created to become cold-hearted in a hurting world. God did not call you merely to survive for yourself alone. There are people connected to your destiny who need the wisdom, strength, and compassion heaven placed inside you. The pain you survived was not meaningless. Your experiences gave you understanding that others may never have. The battles you overcame prepared you to recognize wounded hearts without condemning them. And maybe this is why God keeps bringing this woman to your attention. Heaven knows she needs help, but heaven is also testing your heart. Will you become another person who ignores her pain, or will you become evidence that God still sends help when people are at their lowest? You read. Response matters more than you realize. Some assignments from God do not come with applause or recognition. Sometimes obedience happens quietly behind closed doors in moments where only heaven sees what you chose to do. One day, people may never remember your achievements, your money, or your titles, but somebody will always remember how you treated them when they were broken. That is the kind of impact heaven values. Because when God looks for chosen people, he is not only searching for talent, he is searching for hearts. He can trust with hurting souls. Chosen one, many people spend their entire lives searching for purpose without realizing that purpose is often hidden inside service to us. The world teaches people to chase success, recognition, and personal gain, but the kingdom of God operates differently. Heaven measures greatness by obedience, compassion, and the willingness to become a blessing in somebody else's life. That is why your compassion is not random. It is connected. See that to your assignment. It is connected to your destiny. There is a reason you feel deeply when others are hurting. There is a reason certain people stay on your mind long after everyone else forgets about them. God often places divine sensitivity inside chosen people because He intends to use them as vessels of healing, encouragement, and restoration. What others dismiss as emotion, heaven recognizes as spiritual awareness. Compassion is not a distraction from your purpose. Compassion is part of your purpose. This is where many people misunderstand calling. They think purpose only involves public influence, large audiences, or visible achievements. But some of the most powerful assignments happen quietly. Sometimes your purpose is fulfilled through a conversation nobody else witnessed. Sometimes your obedience changes one life. And that one transformed life changes generations afterward. Never underestimate the ripple effect of compassion guided by God. This woman God is placing. Before you may be connected to a deeper purpose than you currently understand. Perhaps heaven is not only asking you to help her, perhaps heaven is also shaping you through the process. Because every divine assignment changes both people involved. When you help somebody heal, your own character is refined. When you choose compassion over selfishness, your spirit grows stronger. Obedience unlocks dimensions of purpose that comfort and convenience never could. Many chosen people go through painful seasons because suffering teaches lessons success cannot teach. Pain develops patience. Rejection develops discernment. Loneliness develops spiritual depth. And after surviving difficult seasons, God often uses those same experiences to help others who are walking through similar darkness. Your struggles were not wasted. Heaven was preparing you to become somebody's answer one day. You may not fully understand why you feel drawn to help this woman, but God rarely reveals the entire picture at once. Faith requires movement before complete understanding. If God showed you every detail of your assignment immediately, there would be no need for trust. That is why obedience comes first. The chosen learn to move when God speaks, even before they see the final outcome. Compassion has the power to unlock doors that force can never open. People who are wounded do not need control, they need understanding. They need to feel seen. They need to feel valued beyond their mistakes, failures, or pain. And when genuine compassion enters somebody's life, walls begin to fall. Fear begins to weaken. Hope slowly returns. Sometimes people begin healing simply because someone finally treated them with dignity again. But understand this carefully. Compassion does not mean becoming weak, naive, or allowing yourself to be manipulated. Godly compassion carries wisdom. Jesus showed love to people, but He also carried discernment. Chosen ones must learn how to help others without losing themselves in the process. You are called to uplift, not to destroy your own peace. True compassion flows from spiritual strength, not emotional desperation. The enemy fears compassionate people because compassion reflects the heart of God. A cold world becomes uncomfortable when real love appears. In a generation filled with selfishness, genuine care becomes rare. Many people know how to impress others publicly but fail to show kindness privately. Yet heaven notices the hidden acts of compassion nobody applauds. God sees every encouraging word, every prayer, every sacrifice, and every moment you chose to care when it would have been easier to walk away. This is why compassion unlocks purpose. The more available you become to God, the more heaven can trust you with meaningful assignments. Some people ask God for greater opportunities while ignoring smaller acts of obedience happening right in front of them. But purpose grows through faithfulness. When God sees that you can be trusted with one HU, arting person, He prepares you for greater responsibility later. And perhaps the deeper reason God is asking you to help this woman is because your obedience will reveal something powerful about your own identity. Chosen people discover who they truly are when they stop living only for themselves. Service reveals character. Compassion reveals maturity. Sacrifice reveals spiritual strength. Anybody can love when life is easy, but it takes divine character to show kindness in moments that require patience, wisdom, and emotional endurance. Chosen one, heaven is not asking you to become perfect. God is asking you to become available. Because when compassion leads your actions, purpose begins to unfold naturally. The doors God opens through love are often greater than the doors people try to force open through ambition alone. And one day you may realize that helping this woman was not a distraction from your destiny at all. It was one of the very reasons God prepared you in the first place. Chosen one, there are moments when people feel completely invisible to the world. They walk through pain silently, carrying burdens nobody notices, wondering if anyone truly sees what they are going through. This woman may be living in that exact emotional place right now. She may smile in front of others while secretly feeling forgotten, exhausted, and emotionally abandoned. But what she cannot see in this moment is that heaven has never taken its eyes off her. God sees every hidden tear, every sleepless night, every silent prayer whispered in weakness, and every battle she fights behind closed doors. People often think that because nobody else notices their suffering, God must not notice either. But heaven does not overlook hidden pain. God sees what human eyes miss. While society celebrates appearances, heaven examines the heart. The world may ignore broken people because they no longer seem useful, exciting, or convenient, but God draws close to those who are wounded. Some of. The people heaven values most are the very people the world overlooks. This is why you must be careful not to judge someone based only on what you see externally. Some people appear distant because they have been hurt too many times. Some appear cold because they are protecting themselves from more disappointment. Some appear strong because they had no choice but to survive difficult seasons alone. You never truly know how much pain somebody carries behind their silence. And perhaps God allowed you to notice her because heaven intends for her to experience love, support, and compassion through you. Understand this clearly. God often answers prayers through people. Many times, the miracle somebody is waiting for arrives in the form of encouragement, kindness, wisdom, protection, or emotional support from another human being. That means your obedience could become evidence that God still cares about her situation. There are people right now praying for strength while feeling like noble. DY hears them. Some are asking God for a sign that their life still matters. Some are begging heaven to send someone who understands their pain. Imagine how powerful it is when God chooses a person like you to become part of the answer. That is not a small responsibility. That is sacred. The reason many chosen people feel emotional burdens they cannot explain is because spiritual sensitivity allows them to detect what others ignore. Sometimes you suddenly think about somebody repeatedly for a reason. Sometimes you feel led to check on someone at unusual moments for a reason. Sometimes your spirit feels restless until you reach out, pray, or encourage somebody. Those moments are not always coincidence. God knows how to place people on your heart when they need help the most. But the enemy works hard to convince hurting people that they are abandoned. Isolation becomes one of his greatest weapons. Once somebody believes nobody cares, hopelessness begins to grow. Fear becomes louder. Negative thoughts become stronger. And eventually, some people emotionally give up even while still physically existing. This is why compassion matters so much. One sincere act of love can interrupt darkness before it consumes somebody completely. Chosen one, never underestimate the value of simply reminding somebody they are seen. Sometimes people do not need grand solutions immediately. Sometimes they just need reassurance that they are not fighting alone anymore. Your words, your prayers, your presence, and your willingness to care may carry more power than you realize. What feels small to you may feel life-changing to somebody else. And here is something powerful you must understand. Heaven often trusts wounded people with helping other wounded people. Why? Because pain creates understanding. People who have survived deep struggles can recognize suffering in others more quickly. Your own battles prepared your heart to respond differently. The rejection you endured taught you empathy. Why? The loneliness you experienced taught you compassion. The tears you cried taught you how valuable comfort truly is. God never wastes pain. Every difficult season you survived produced wisdom, strength, and spiritual maturity inside you. And now heaven may be using your experiences to help somebody else keep going. Sometimes your greatest ministry comes from the scars you once tried to hide. This woman may feel forgotten by people, but heaven remembers her name. God knows every detail about her struggle. He knows the disappointments she never talks about. He knows the fear she hides from everyone else. He knows the emotional exhaustion she carries daily. And if God is placing her on your heart, it may be because he wants her to experience his love through your actions. Chosen one, never become so distracted that you ignore divine moments of compassion. Some assignments from God will never appear glamorous or impressive publicly, but they carry eternal value. Heaven pays attention to how you treat vulnerable people. God watches how you respond when somebody is hurting. Anybody can care when life is easy, but true spiritual maturity appears when you choose kindness in difficult moments. One day you may look back and realize that helping this woman was not just about changing her life. It was also about revealing the depth of God's character within you. Because when heaven sees pain, heaven responds with love. And sometimes God chooses chosen people like you to carry that love into the lives of those who need it most. Chosen one, there are moments in life when destiny is shaped by a single decision to obey God. Many people think obedience only matters in large, dramatic situations. But some of the most life-changing moments begin with small acts of faithfulness. A phone call, a message, a conversation, a decision to show compassion when it would have been easier to stay silent. Heaven pays attention to those moments because obedience reveals the condition. Issue of the heart. Right now, God may be placing a responsibility before you that feels uncomfortable, unexpected, or even confusing. Part of you may question whether you are truly supposed to help this woman. You may wonder if you are overthinking things or imagining the burden you feel. But chosen ones often recognize God's voice through conviction, not convenience. Divine assignments rarely arrive at comfortable moments. They interrupt routines. They challenge selfishness. They require trust beyond logic. Many people miss their purpose because they constantly delay obedience. They wait for perfect timing, perfect clarity, or perfect confidence. But if you study the lives of people God used greatly, you will notice something powerful. Obedience usually came before understanding. Faith moves before answers appear. God is not looking for people who know everything. He is looking for hearts willing to respond when he speaks. This is why your obedience matters more than you realize. Somebody's breakthrough may be connected to your willingness to act. Imagine if Noah ignored the instructions to build the ark because it seemed unreasonable. Imagine if Moses refused to confront Pharaoh because he felt inadequate. Imagine if David allowed fear to stop him from facing Goliath. Destiny often hangs on the other side of obedience. And perhaps this woman is standing at a critical moment in her life right now. Maybe she feels emotionally exhausted. Maybe she is close to giving up. Maybe she has prayed for help but sees no immediate answer. What if your obedience becomes the confirmation she has been waiting for? What if your kindness reminds her that God has not abandoned her after all? Never underestimate how powerfully God can work through one willing person. The enemy understands the importance of obedience, which is why he constantly attacks it through fear, doubt, insecurity, and distraction. He whispers thoughts like, it's not your responsibility, or someone else, or help, or you might look foolish. Fear has caused many people to walk away from divine assignments. They ignored convictions until their hearts became spiritually numb. And eventually they stopped recognizing God's voice altogether. Chosen one, protect your sensitivity to God. The more obedient you become, the clearer His direction becomes in your life. Obedience sharpens discernment. Every time you respond to God's prompting, your spiritual awareness grows stronger. But every time you repeatedly ignore conviction, your heart slowly becomes less responsive. This is why small acts of obedience matter deeply. You must also understand that obedience is not always rewarded immediately by people. Sometimes nobody notices your sacrifice. Sometimes nobody applauds your compassion. Sometimes helping others requires emotional energy, patience, and inconvenience. But heaven sees what people overlook. God measures faithfulness differently than the world does, while people chase recognition. Tian, God honors obedience done in secret. There is something powerful about becoming the kind of person heaven can trust. Many people ask God for influence, success, and greater opportunities, but few develop the character required to carry those blessings responsibly. Obedience builds that character. Every assignment you complete prepares you for future responsibility. Every moment you choose love over selfishness transforms your spirit. And perhaps this situation is also testing whether your faith is genuine. It is easy to talk about purpose, love, and spirituality when no sacrifice is required. But true spiritual maturity appears when obedience costs you something. Real compassion requires action. Real faith produces movement. Heaven is not only listening to your words, heaven is watching your response. This woman may never fully understand how much your obedience impacts her life. Sometimes people never see the spiritual battles happening behind acts of kindness. But God sees east. Everything. He sees every encouraging word you speak. He sees every prayer you whisper for somebody else. He sees every moment you choose patience when frustration would have been easier. Nothing done with genuine love is ever wasted in the kingdom of God. Chosen one encounter can alter the direction of a person's entire future. One act of obedience can open doors that remain closed for years. One moment of courage can become the beginning of somebody's healing. That is why you cannot afford to ignore what God is placing on your heart right now. And maybe the greatest lesson in all of this is that obedience does not only change the people you help, it changes you. Every time you answer God's call, your faith becomes stronger. Your discernment becomes sharper. Your character becomes deeper. Your relationship with God becomes more real. Because obedience is not simply about completing assignments. Obedience is about transformation. So if heaven is asking you to help, encourage, yes. Support or uplift this woman, do not delay. Do not allow fear to silence compassion. Do not allow doubt to overpower conviction. Some opportunities disappear forever once ignored. But when chosen people respond to God with courage and obedience, lives are changed, hearts are healed, and heaven moves in ways that only faith can unlock. Chosen one, this message did not come into your life by accident. God speaks to people in many ways, and sometimes He speaks through a burden placed upon the heart. If this woman keeps appearing in your spirit, if you feel an unexplainable pull to pray, encourage, protect, or help her, do not ignore it. Heaven does not assign compassion without purpose. There are moments when somebody's survival, healing, or restoration is connected to the obedience of another person willing to answer God's call. You must remember this. Your purpose is bigger than personal success. Real greatness is discovered in how you treat people when they are broken, forgotten, or struggling silently. The world may celebrate power, money, and status, but heaven honors love, faithfulness, and obedience. Anybody can walk away from hurting people, but chosen ones are different. Chosen ones carry light into dark places. They become evidence that God still cares. And maybe this woman has spent years feeling unseen, unheard, and emotionally exhausted. Maybe she has cried prayers nobody else knows about. But God heard every tear. I saw every battle. And perhaps heaven is now responding through you. Never underestimate the impact your kindness can have. One act of compassion can restore hope. One conversation can change your life. One moment of obedience can unlock a future neither of you expected. Do not allow fear, pride, or doubt to stop you from doing what God is placing on your heart. Some divine assignments only appear once. Some opportunities to help people never return after being ignored. Stay spiritually sensitive. Stay humble. Stay available for God. Or, because when heaven can trust your heart with hurting people, God will open doors, increase your wisdom, and deepen your purpose in ways you cannot yet imagine. Chosen one, this is your reminder that obedience matters, compassion matters, and people matter. The woman God is asking you to help may not only need your support, she may also be part of your own divine journey. And one day, you may look back at this moment and realize that what seemed like a simple act of kindness was actually a sacred assignment sent directly from heaven.